deck is pretty crazy.
Street Wraith, Woodfall Primus. So your reanimation targets are Iona, Woodfall Primus. You have Phantasmagorian. So you dredge that guy, and that's how you discard. That's your discard outlet. Discard 3 cards, return Phantasmagorian to your hand from your graveyard.
Correct. You have basically all the dredge cards. And this deck, think about this deck, you always want to draw with this deck.
Yes, always. Every game. Because you draw, you discard for your turn. You're playing Shambling Shell, just want more dredge guys. And then the sideboard, comically enough, is just 4 Contagion and a bunch of Reanimator singletons.
The Contagion is pretty. That's a card we haven't seen played for a while.
Yeah, Contagion kills a Yixila Jailer pretty well.
It does.
Whatever cards you want it to kill, actually.
Kills Gaddock, good against Merfolk.
Yep.
It's kind of neat. Some people were talking about this deck, so it should be interesting to see how it plays out. 4 Bloodghast, 3 Gigapede, 4 Grave Troll, 4 Thug, 4 Icarid, 1 Iona, 4 Narcomoeba, 4 Nether Shadow, 4 Phantasmagorian, 4 Shambling Shell, 4 Stinkweed Imp, 4 Street Wraith, 1 Woodfall Primus, 4 Bridge from Below, 4 Cabal Therapy, 4 Dread Return, 3 Dakmore Salvage. So it does have 3 lands, but I mean, let's be real here.
Is there something in here that actually you can pay for with that black mana?
I mean, Nether Shadow.
No, you need all of your land. Oh, Darkmoor Salvage Landfall's Bloodghast back. Not actually using it for mana, just using it for landfall.
Okay. It does landfall back Bloodghast. The Gigapedes are pretty interesting. It's a GG3 creature from Odyssey that's a 6/1, but you can discard a card in your upkeep to return to your hand.
Mini Phantasmagorian.
Mini Phantasmagorian, yeah.
I'm assuming that it's never actually coming into play, but...
I mean, you could Dread Return, I guess, if you absolutely had to.
Yeah, probably better. I mean, you can Dread Return... wait, what does Phantasmagorian... The card's like, whenever it comes into play...
Phantasmagorian is like a 7/7, I think.
6/5? It's a 6/5.
And you can
I don't actually know what the card does outside of the ability.
And you can discard 3 cards from... Alright, when you cast it, anybody can discard 3 cards. If they do, it gets countered. You can discard 3 cards to bring it from your graveyard to your hand. And it's a 6/6 for 7.
So you can Dread Return that guy?
Yeah. Or just Grave Troll, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, you can't always have a Grave Troll. This isn't like normal dredge where you just always have all of your deck in your graveyard. You're going to be grinding them out over the course of the game with this deck.
Sure.
And the nice thing about this deck, too, is that, you know...
You don't need any lands.
Well, not that you don't need any lands, but, like, as you're playing the game with Dredge, you have to make these decisions where you have to decide whether you want to go off with 7 cards or not. This deck never has that issue. The other card I've seen in these decks, in addition to Street Wraith, Gitaxian Probe.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not in here.
Yeah, it's another way to accelerate your dredging.
Yeah, I mean, you discard and then you can dredge twice on turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, I mean, gives you a little bit of information about what you have to play around potentially, which could be useful.
Yep. The other card I've seen is Chancellor of the Forge. Opening hand, another card makes it faster to Dread Return.
Right. I mean,
Chancellor of the Annex. I don't know about that one so much, but you know.
Yeah, Chancellors are really interesting. Seeing those guys pop up. We saw them in Hypergenesis before.
Yes.
Chancellor of the Annex is a beating in Hypergenesis.
Yeah, that card's. I think that's the only good one in Hypergenesis, probably. The Chancellor of the Tangle is probably almost good enough, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, only if you like Demise a lot.
Yeah.
So here we are, heading into round 4 now of the Star City Games Open Series.
And his opponent's deck, we'll just let you see, because this is going to be very interesting.
So here's what happens. So Nicholas Rauch discards Stinkweed Imp on his turn.
Attention Magic players in standard win box.
Pyromancer Ascension from Bill Barger.
Number 6, please report to the assignments area where Judge Tom is waiting to report. He's very calm.
Down, Cycle Street Wraith. So that gives you a little bit of acceleration. Let's you draw a card.
Nicholas is going to go to 18 life and presumably dredge Stinkweed Imp. I think this might be EOT. I don't really know. I think timing's pretty irrelevant on this because this deck doesn't really play within the normal turn cycle besides draw step, discard step.
Is this entire deck foil? That's pretty wild.
That's so cool. Reading all the cards as they go to the graveyard. Is that a Phantasmagorian as the last card?
Well, it's either a Bloodghast or...
No, the very last card on the left. That's a Phantasmagorian.
Yeah, it's probably Phantasmagorian.
You get the Golgari Thug to keep dredging.
It's clear Nicholas Rauch has played this deck quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or
foil.
Likes this deck quite a bit.
Yep, draws for his turn. Interesting. Not dredging Thug. Chooses to Phantasmagorian rebuy. Discarding 3 cards. Or did he already dredge once? Oh, is he? This is still, I believe, end of turn Phantasmagorian. It's very hard to tell with this deck when things are occurring.
You're never tapping any mana.
Okay, so I think it's now Nicholas's turn. Okay, now he's gonna dredge. There we go. Okay, it's his. Nope, Gigapede, upkeep. Okay, there we go.
Gigapede. That is a signifier that is the upkeep step.
Okay, discarding Gigapede, discarding Phantasmagorian, dredging Stinkweed Imp. There we go. Nicholas flips more Blood Gas, Dread Return, a Nether Shadow, which, interestingly enough, off dredge, you can stack every individual dredge as it goes to your graveyard can be put in whatever order you want it to.
So you always put that one at the bottom.
Yep. So this Nether Shadow is going to go below 3 creatures, so it is going to trigger next upkeep.
All right. So now he's spreading out
Rauch.
his graveyard.
There we go. Not Rauch. There we go. Last name confusion here. Cleared up by Ben SW.
The Ben SW. All right. So that's
Graveyard enters the red zone, I believe.
That's Nicholas's turn. Yeah. So passes back to the Pyromancer Ascension player.
Discarding 2 Phantasmagorian on end step. It's a Gigapede, Stinkweed Imp, and a Shambling Shell.
All right. To return Phantasmagorian.
I have not seen Shambling Shell since Ravnica Limited. That one is awesome.
Played it in the standard version of Dredge in some builds.
Mm-hmm.
Good way to get Dredge started if you needed to on turn 3 in the green-black version.
I did play it in the fair version of Dredge. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Green Seeker.
Yeah, the Green Seeker casting Golgari Grave Troll after life level limit a bunch of times.
All right, so
Nicholas gets back Nether Shadow, dredges a Stinkweed Imp.
Narcomoeba.
This one's gonna put in a Narcomoeba, an Icarid, and a Nether Shadow are going to graveyard. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so next turn, Nicholas is going to be able to return a Nether Shadow and an Icarid. Plus this Nether Shadow here is going to get in for 1. Dread Return's also going to be active next turn.
Those Nether Shadows look so out of place with the rest of the deck. It's like gorgeous Nether Shadow.
White bordered Nether Shadow, thanks.
Well, if you like, if you're looking for a classic version of Nether Shadow, that card is from the revised, right? Unlimited revised there. You could buy the beta set on StarCityGames.com.
Yes, you could. That would get you 1. You have to find the other 3.
Well, I don't know how else you're going to find beta Nether Shadows.
Buy Summer Magic Nether Shadows. That might be where you're looking. Yeah.
But StarCityGames.com hopping up on a complete beta set. Very unlikely to see anything like that ever.
So, looks like he's playing against Rune Flare Trap here.
All right, so Rune Flare Trap, Pyromancer Ascension. Seems like a pretty good matchup for Nicholas here.
Yeah. Looking at this deck list, we see a lot of the Rune Flare Trap enabler cards like Howling Mine, and that's not really gonna turn out so well against the Dredge deck. Yeah, especially because Phantasmagorian is just Phantasmagorian matches up very well against the card Rune Flare Trap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You can stack the ability multiple times.
So you can
hand.
stack the ability, and then you could just discard your entire hand against Rune Flare Traps.
Yes.
So Bill Barger lays a second Pyromancer Ascension.
Yep. Looks like he killed that Nether Shadow. Does not that. It looks like he killed it with something. Narcomoeba was also killed, I think, with a Pyroclasm. Phantasmagorian discards Gigapede. Nether Shadows come back.
Brings back the Shadows.
And this Icarid.
And the Icarid.
Exiling probably a Street Wraith, some other generic irrelevant creature. And moves his graveyard stack down to where the lands would be again.
It's so strange watching this deck play.
Really is. Dredge a Stinkweed Imp. Still hasn't hit a Grave Troll. Oh, on the subject, there's a Grave Troll.
And a bridge.
And another Nether Shadow. And a Cabal Therapy. I think there's a Japanese foil bridge that he's explained to his opponent.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's this does not look like a very good matchup for the red deck here at all.
No, definitely not. And yeah, you just keep This manless dredge deck is really interesting. So you just keep flipping up guys, serving in, serves them for 5 there, 3 for with Icarus, 2 with Nether Shadow. Drops, build down to 14 life, and now he has the opportunity to dread return if he wants to.
There is no need to interact with any of these, like any of the usual interactive cards, like Force of Will, Mental Misstep. No need at all with this deck.
Yeah, totally. Nicholas Rauch shows him the Runeflow Trap again, just to confirm what's going on.
Confirm that it gets wrecked by Phantasmagorian. That is something that I never thought I would say.
Phantasmagorian hosts the Runeflow Trap deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you're Nicholas, I think you're going to dread return these, get a bunch of tokens.
Dread returning, getting back, probably Grave Troll.
Probably just big Grave Troll. I mean, Iona, I guess. But
I don't think he hit Iona yet.
Well, I don't think he's flipped that yet, yeah. I don't think so either. I think Grave Troll's going to be the best thing to get back. He'll be pretty big.
Iona will be pretty good against this deck. Looks like mono red, so.
Yeah.
That's only 3 zombies. He gets back Gigapede. Okay. Cabal Therapy is going to happen again, sacrificing a zombie, and Bill's hand is basically just getting shredded at this point. Has a Lightning Bolt to Runeflow Trap, but don't think these Pyromancer's Ascensions are going to get active anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas just seems so far ahead.
Yeah.
Is that Phantasmagorian in play?
No, it's a Gigapede. Shroud.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Gigapede in play for so long.
I did that with Blue-Green Madness. That's how you beat some of the control decks. You just play Gigapede every turn.
First time I ever met Arilax was when he beat me in the Blue-Green Madness mirror.
With Equilibrium.
Jeez, what a card.
Looks like a Narcomoeba is going to be coming into play. Maybe? Or this is discard from his hand.
Okay, discard to Phantasmagorian.
Yes.
Gigapede, just to clarify for those who don't know, it's GG3 for a 6/1. It's got Shroud, and you can discard a card during your upkeep to return from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah. So it keeps coming back.
So 3 Nether Shadows and a Icarid come back in upkeep. Waiting for the dredge to happen.
Alright, flips. Imp, Grave Troll, Imp, Cabal Therapy, Gigapede, and maybe another Cabal Therapy. Couldn't quite make the second to last card out.
Yeah. Let's see here. Looks like 10, 6. Looks like lethal damage coming through. If, yep.
Bolts down the Icarid.
Bill has to bolt down the Icarid and goes to 1 on this attack.
How do you feel about the manless dredge deck versus a normal dredge deck? It seems like it's a lot slower. Like, obviously I know you're trying to grind them out, but is it a fast enough deck?
I think it's just, it might have problems with speed, but if speed is not the concern and you're just looking to grind people out, the manaless build might be better. You don't get wastelanded. You don't have to expose things like Breakthrough. Breakthrough is just a brick if it's going to get Force Will and things like that. Like, your opponent can legitimately interact with your spells, and normal dredge decks just kind of turn into this deck when they, try to beat a blue deck. I would definitely want Gitaxian Probe to play it, though. I think you need a bit more of a boost before you start it.
Yeah, sure. Alright, so gets back Gigapede.
I think I would get back Grave Troll here, but maybe he's just worried about like some kind of threaten. I don't know. There's too many cards in Legacy. Like, you can't play around everything.
All right,
right?
Yeah, Bill Barger just concedes. You know, he sees that he is not having any chance of winning this game.
Yeah.
So this matchup seems pretty highly in favor of the dredge deck. Let's just talk about this dredge deck for a little while.
Yeah.
It seems really, really interesting in how it works. So you said you were trying one out with Gitaxian Probe?
Yeah. In the normal mana builds of dredge, Gitaxian Probe, when you're playing against the control decks, you want to draw first and basically move to a similar plan to that. But what Gitaxian Probe does is you set up a sequence where you discard on your first turn, and your second turn you get 8 cards, you just play Probe from your hand. So if they counter it, you're still at 7 cards in hand, so you're not that far behind. You just pass the turn back, you can get back into draw discard mode. If it resolves, you know exactly what to name with Cabal Therapy, so that happens. You get to dredge again, so that happens. So it basically just enables you doing everything. And if there's nothing you want to hit with Therapy, you just kill them.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Siri on Twitter did point out that Crow can be countered, like you said, but I think that that's a cost worth paying. I mean, it can occasionally get countered, but you really need to speed your deck up. It seems like the deck's just a little slow.
I agree. Let's see. Probably against this deck, you want Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Probably. Well, that's Inkwell and Stormtide Leviathan. Here's the full list of reanimation targets in his sideboard: Akroma, Angel of Wrath, Ancestors Chosen, Blazing Archon, Elvish Norn, Grand Cenobite, a 4th Gigapede, Inkwell Leviathan, a 2nd Iona, Lawan, Cephalid Empress, Sphinx of the Steel Wind, Stormtide Leviathan, and Terastodon.
Yeah, it's quite the package.
Actually everything.
So he can basically find whatever he wants. It's almost weird. You look and expect to see Entomb or something, and you realize, oh yeah, he can't actually cast spells.
No, not really.
He's got Dakmor Salvage, but that's not going to do the work.
I think he's probably going to board in Ancestors Chosen, Akroma, and Sphinx of the Steel Wind for this matchup. Maybe the Iona too, but I don't know how many Dread Return targets you can support. Probably, you might just leave it as is. Maybe doesn't need the Woodfall Primus.
Do you think you board in Terastodon to deal with Pyromancer Ascension?
I think I'd rather have Woodfall Primus. It doesn't give him 3/3s, and with Dread Return, Woodfall Primus, Cabal Therapy, you can kill a lot of permanents.
Oh yeah, wow, Cabal Therapy with Woodfall Primus is a nice little combination.
That's in the normal dredge list. That's the guy that I've been working with to kill all the random sort of like moats or elephant grasses or whatever you run into. Just you can do it up to like 2 times per Dread Return. It's probably enough. And again, Terastodon could get awkward, not kill what you want. You can spread Woodfall Primus over multiple turns, which is really important. With Terastodon, you can kind of do the same thing, but not quite. But you have to give them a bunch of elephants. Who wants to do that?
No one wants to give other people elephants.
Especially when elephants kill your Bridge from Belows.
How do you think that this deck would match up against something like the Blue-White Stoneforge decks? Do you think it's too slow to deal with like Batterskull kind of stuff? Or
no, it might go over the top of Batterskull actually. I mean, the slower. Maybe it's just the slower plan in Dredge leads into an explosive turn. I don't have enough experience with Dredge to really say, but typically when you start the game off with Dredge against the control decks, this is the plan you want to go for. The sort of draw, discard, Dredge.
Yeah.
But maybe you want a little, that might just be for the first couple dredges, and then you move on from there.
Yeah, it's interesting when you consider that it's almost like a pre-built against control, right? It seems like you're way worse against beatdown though, because even grinding them out can work against beatdown, but normally you want to be able to threaten a quick combo, breakthrough and do some stuff like that is pretty effective against Zoo in the first game. After sideboarding, things start to change.
Nicholas discards a Gigapede on turn 1, but Bill plays a Howling Mine.
That's certainly going to speed up. Jebby B2010 on Twitter asks what was the white bordered card the Dredge player was using. It's called Nether Shadow, and basically
it's a 1/1 haste that at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 3 or more creature cards on top of it in your graveyard, it returns to play. So
I'll give you guys the alpha wording. If Shadow is in graveyard with any combination of cards above it that includes at least 3 creatures, it can be returned to play during upkeep for its normal casting cost. Shadow can attack on same turn.
Normal casting cost?
Shadow can attack on same turn, summon, or return to play. Yeah, I think that's a weird alpha-y thing that they misprinted incorrectly. So,
interesting.
But anyway, it's free.
So Nicholas is currently dredging multiple times off of this Howling Mine right now. He discarded a Gigapede on turn 1, so he didn't have to expose his dredge card to a Tormod's Crypt. Gets his discard on upkeep, and then go to his draw step and dredge a bunch of times. Sorry about that. I believe we have the game totals flipped. Nicholas did, in fact, win game 1.
So that Howling Mine is speeding up Nicholas's deck here, and should be able to start doing some grindy things pretty fast. Yeah, Nether Shadow is a really interesting addition. We don't see that kind of stuff in Dredge very often, but it's pretty neat here.
Can we actually get the 5th edition wording on Nether Shadow for a second?
5th edition wording on Nether Shadow? Sure. It looks like a different artwork.
Okay. So the alpha version says something different than the most recent printing.
Yeah,
so.
I imagine that the alpha version was just misprinted incorrectly.
Unlimited.
In any case, it's a pretty neat card. You don't get to see played all the time.
No, really not.
I think this dredge deck is pretty cool in the fact that you are playing all these cards, that like Phantasmagorian, Shambling Shell, Gigapede, that are unique ways to dredge, or to enable dredge that you haven't really seen before.
Yeah. Bill looks like he's setting up for a Pyromancer's Ascension, getting active, probably Room Flare trapping. But as we said, Phantasmagorian will definitely end any dreams of doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Nicholas gets back a Nether Shadow and an Icarid on upkeep before he dredges twice.
Let's see. Yeah, so Carlos Gutierrez on Twitter makes a good point that when you're playing against this deck, you should always draw first. It's just a free card because they can't do anything on their first turn.
It's just very unnatural for people to do that, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you're not thinking about that. You're like, oh, I want to play. But yeah, if you're ever playing against a deck like this, make sure to choose to draw first. There's
Nicholas dredges 2 more Shadows and a Bloodghast along with an Icarid.
Okay. And there's the Dakmor Salvage there so that he can pick it up, play it, and return those Bloodghasts to the battlefield.
Yes. We're going to be seeing that real soon. It looks like he has a Sphinx of the Seal one in graveyard too that looks like what he's going to try and dread return.
Should be able to reanimate it fairly soon.
He looks like he's dredging... He's Phantasmagorian. Gonna put his Grave Trolls back in his graveyard so he can dredge up some more, I believe.
And dredges some more.
Sees a Bloodghast, Icarid, some more dredge guys.
Alright, and so now he's returning a bunch of stuff to play.
Let's see. Yeah, time for the dredge guys to start beating down.
Yeah, now it's time to just bash. Let's see. It looks like Bill's trying to go for something here. Is that a lightning bolt?
Yeah, I think so. But that's going to trigger some bridge from below, so...
So Bridge from Below's trigger gets a bunch of zombie tokens.
Two to be exact.
Yeah, 2 zombie tokens. I thought there was another bridge in there somewhere, but apparently not. Cabal Therapy, sitting in Nicholas's graveyard if he wants to rebuy that. Alright, sacrifices his Nether Shadow. Oh, thinking about it.
Cabal Therapy, I'm assuming.
Alright, Cabal Therapies, Bill Barger.
It's kind of cool that Phantasmagorian lets you put cards on top of Nether Shadow after sacrificing it main phase. Brings him up to 4 zombies. Gonna discard. Did not see what
I think
card
he
that
discarded
is.
Volcanic Fallout.
Revealing Font of Mythos and Room Flare Trap.
Yeah, and Volcanic Fallout hit the graveyard. And that would have been a good idea with all those zombies, but not an option anymore.
Yeah.
Alright. And now looks like he's counting up damage. I think I see a Bloodghast there he was pointing to.
Yeah.
Here comes the Dakmor Salvage. Gotta make sure not to mix that up with the graveyard. Comes back. Bloodghast, Bloodghast, Bloodghast.
That is a lot of vampire zombie beats.
Yeah, there's some vampire zombies involved there. There are a lot of vampire zombies. So, I think Nick should have this pretty much under control now.
Yeah.
This matchup's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't see that Font of Mythos or Room Flare Trap doing too much
Yeah,
right
the
now.
Font of Mythos will really just enable Nicholas's deck.
Yeah, I think Font of Mythos is a very fast way for Bill Barger to lose the game.
See what happens.
Yeah, it looks like Nicholas, if he has a Dread Return, completely locks it up with the Sphinx of the Seal win.
Yeah, Sphinx. I mean, could be trying to find an Iona potentially, but I think you'll get enough
Sphinx is
zombie
probably
tokens.
enough. Yeah, all these blood gas, probably enough without another pyroclasm or volcanic fallout effect. No Barger considering his options here. Firestorm. That one is traditionally seen actually in dredge sideboards. Discarding his hand to gun down some zombies, maybe live another turn.
Alright, zombies
some more
gone.
chances of howling mine up some good cards.
Firestorm's kind of cool with Parliamentary Ascension.
Yeah, it is. That actually resolves in the right order.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, it's actually, yeah, wow. Didn't think about that.
Then you can double up on your Firestorm.
Yeah, that's what, you just card Firestorm to Firestorm and it triggers Ascension, yeah.
Also, I mean, just like when Pyromancer Ascension is active, you can like Firestorm for a bunch.
That's very true. Well, in Firestorm, you do have to have X legal targets.
But if one target is legal when it resolves, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
Firestorm for like 5 and you like nug their face.
Well, I'm not used to Firestorming for more than like 2 or 3. There's not usually that many targets. That is a lot of Icarus coming back.
I think that's lethal.
3. It's a lot. That looks like a pile of Icarids.
Yeah, I think there are. If I didn't know better, I'd say there are like 5 Icarids there.
There's 3 Icarids, 3 Blood Gas. That's 15. 2 Nether Shadows.
Maybe one
17.
short.
There's something underneath that Nether Shadow. I don't know what it is, but if it's another card that attacks, it's gonna be lethal. Or another 2 power guy. If it's a Blood Gas or Icarid, it's over.
Flipped over his top 2 cards. Mountain Firestorm. I think that's match.
That is
all right.
match.
And Nicholas takes it out with his Manaless Dredge deck, 2-0. Pretty neat take on the Manaless Dredge archetype.
Yes.
Something to keep your eye on. Could be a fun little deck to take to your local Legacy tournament.
Yeah, it's I've seen it in action, and it's definitely real interesting and definitely completely different from most Magic. Not just most things in the format, most games of Magic you'll ever play.
It is just that you're not playing Magic.
Well, I mean, you aren't really casting. You really just aren't.
You are only using game actions.
Sometimes you dread return.
You do dread return, I guess. Okay, that's fair. Mostly, you're just using game actions.
It's very easy to win a game with this deck without playing a spell, playing a land, anything besides draw step, upkeep, end step, attack step. Don't need a main phase. Thanks.
Well, so after that match, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Definitely in time for the next round. Don't worry about that. In the meantime, we're gonna give you a sneak peek of what it's like to be on Premium. Brian Kibler did some deck techs in his article most recently, and if you're a Premium subscriber, this is the kind of content you can come to expect from the Premium side. Great articles, great videos, great informational content. Some of the best players in the game, some of the best writers in the game, some of the best minds in the game, all work for Star City Premium. People like Patrick Chapin, Brian Kibler, Brad Nelson, Mike Flores, Jerry Thompson,
Michael Jacob,
also with the great video series.
Yes.
So stay tuned and enjoy this little peek into Premium. We'll be back in about 10 to 15 minutes. Until then, enjoy.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my video series here at StarCityGames.com. This is Brian Kibler. I'm making my first constructed video in quite a while. And interestingly enough, this one is also at sort of the gap point on Magic Online between when it links up with the real world. Since we, obviously in the real world, M12 is out, and it won't be out in Magic Online for a while. That said, this is a deck that actually carries over to M12 Standard quite well, I think, which is why I decided to sort of take a look at this. Some of you who have been reading my articles recently may recognize at least the basics of this build. This is a Tezzeret deck that is built around, largely built around Torpor Orb. As I talked about in the article a few weeks ago, I think that the Torpor Orb Tezzeret decks have an interesting place in sort of the metagame, in that Torpor Orb is just so powerful against Valakut decks and against the Splinter Twin decks that they can sacrifice a lot. As far as not really needing much else to beat those matchups. You can, rather than Torpor Orb just shuts down the entire Sortark combo, and the Sortark decks without Jace the Mind Sculptor are much weaker to being able to win without that combo. Valakut, they can certainly kill you with Valakut itself or with Titans, but the rest of your deck is pretty well set up to deal with that. So one thing I particularly like about Torpor Orb is that it lets you just tap out, lets you just play things because they can't just kill you with Titan, they can't just kill you with Splinter Twin, so you can just tap out and cast Tezzeret, for instance. Similarly, Tumble Magnet also lets you, gives you a window. If they cast a Splinter Twin on their Exarch and you tap it with a Tumble Magnet, you get to untap and you can potentially kill it with Go for the Throat. So there's a lot of cards in here that lets this deck play much more like a tap out control deck than a sort of more traditional control deck that holds up counter magic, which is why you only see 3 mana leaks here. So I'm going to go through some of the card choices specifically. This deck has 25 land compared to the 26 land that a lot of blue-black control decks typically play, along with the 4 preordains. That's because I have a full set of Everflowing Chalice. Everflowing Chalice is obviously a powerful card in terms of accelerating you to Tezzeret, as well as just providing something for Tezzeret to animate. One interesting thing about Everflowing Chalice in this deck that I occasionally use it for is just playing on 0 and just making a 5/5 for free. That's something that you shouldn't overlook, and we'll see if it comes up in any of my games today. The rest of the artifacts, the deck is fairly light in artifacts compared to some Tezzeret decks. Certainly has a lot less than my Surtark deck did. But there's the Chalices, the Torpor Orbs, and Tumble Magnet. As I said before, Tumble Magnet is a card that lets you, proactively spend your resources so you can tap out and protect the stuff that you play. It's not quite as powerful as it was in the era of everyone equipping their creatures, but there are a lot of big things around that Tumble Magnet is pretty good at stopping. And being able to tap out and protect Tezzeret with a Tumble Magnet is definitely pretty powerful. Not that Tezzeret necessarily often needs protecting. I only have 2 copies of Jace Beleren. Jace is sort of the go-to card for a lot of control decks these days as their Planeswalker. Obviously replacing Jace the Mind Sculptor. I think Jace Beleren is much less powerful than Jace the Mind Sculptor, obviously, but also he competes with a lot of the other stuff that you want to be doing. You'd rather be playing out your artifacts. You'd rather play a Tumble Magnet a lot of times in a lot of matchups, and you don't have that much counter magic. So Jace sort of bringing you up, giving you more cards doesn't give you the same way to deal with the threats the opposing player is throwing at you like it would in some other decks. You'd much rather play Chalice into Tezzeret. It's also you don't really need the 3 the same way when you have the ability to accelerate. A lot of times you'd even rather play Chalice into one of the big boys. Those big boys being Wormcoil and Consecrated Sphinx. Right now the deck has 1 Wormcoil engine, 2 Consecrated Sphinx. Sphinx, like I said, the fact that you can tap out because of Torpor Orb makes Sphinx a lot better than it otherwise would be. Against Valakut, a Consecrated Sphinx out of a control deck, like a typical blue-black control deck, you play a Consecrated Sphinx, they play Titan, and you're in some serious trouble. Even if they don't kill you immediately, which they possibly could. They're able to immediately get a bunch of action and then kill you with Valakuts pretty quickly thereafter. Granted, Grave Titan can have you can play Grave Titan. You can't really play Grave Titan in this deck because of Torpor Orb. You could, but it obviously has a little less value. For a brief time, I actually just had the Trinket Mage sideboard cards, which I'll get to in a moment, in the main deck rather than the Jace Belerens. But the lack of synergy with Torpor Orb was really kind of unfortunate. So Consecrated Sphinx, it digs you. I did say that Jace Beleren doesn't have quite the same potency that it would in a lot of the control decks. But Consecrated Sphinx has you're drawing a ton more cards than your opponent, and obviously has some pretty powerful synergies with Jace Beleren. So being able to accelerate out any of these is often enough to beat anyone, along with the Tezzeret plan, which lets you kill people much faster. So this is a much more aggressive style of control deck than a lot of the blue-black control decks that rely on sort of kill stuff, grave